the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Talk to Living podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Welton, joined by Sergeant Welton. How are you?
I'm good.
You know, I have made mention of this, but it has been a long time where first responders hate being called heroes, the humble ones at least. And I've shared that the actual meaning, the Greek root meaning of the word hero means to have strength for two. And so when you consider it in that concept, like one would want to be a hero, you would want to strive to be a hero. But I understand that in the socially acceptable definition and understanding of the word hero, it might feel a little icky when somebody calls you that.
Yeah, I think we think of that based off of like comic books and saying like Superman or Batman, that you're a hero in that instance, when in all reality you're not that superhero per se, but in certain people's eyes you truly are. And I think that's the hardest thing, that it's like because we're told this is your job, this is your career, this is what you're doing to support your family. But in all reality, when you go to someone's house and you are able to create that pattern interrupt to, or you take that bad guy to jail and make their life better for that instant, you are a hero to them.
There is a psychological concept here. It's imposter syndrome. And there are people from all walks of life and all different career genres who might experience this. Some people feel that even on a personal level. And so when it comes to being a first responder, a lot of the times you might feel like you're not worthy, or you are suffering from this imposter syndrome because maybe you witness human suffering so much, or you're replaying the calls of things that you wish had gone differently, or you're comparing yourselves to your perfect partners, and you're carrying a lot of invisible injuries sometimes, and that might be the cause of why you could feel this way.
Yeah, I think with having that emotional response, that physical response of you don't consider yourself a hero. And I think it's good to be humble, but at the same time to really recognize that impact you're having. And I haven't told you this, they changed, we have pictures all over our police station. And so there was one photo, it was of me and one of my partners on our horses. And I'm looking at this picture and there's this little kid wearing a full suit and tie. He's probably like maybe 7 years old, and he's looking up at us on the horses. And it's just such a cool picture. Like, I'm stealing that picture when they just kind of changed over all this pictures. I'm looking at it, and I try looking at ourselves through that kid's eyes, and he's just in awe, and it's such an impactful picture. I was like, wow, I love this picture.
You should at least take a picture of the picture and show me.
I forgot to yesterday. I wanted to. It's so cool.
You know, hearing that story and just coming from the inside of you, your expressiveness with it, it makes me feel and remember back to being young and all of the adoration and respect that young kids had and ought to still have for our first responders in wanting to be one day, and in looking up to them, not only in a physical way, but metaphorically too. And so I like that you shared that example, because it is true, and it's actually living proof that you in fact are a hero.
No, and it's like, I think we put that title hero on so many people, and you see these kids, these adults too, admiring, these sports figures, these actors, these actresses, whoever it may be. But in all reality, they're just putting on a show, when you actually have people going out and trying to protect the public and create this dynamic in our world to make it a better place, compared to just you putting on a show.
Some of the reasons why first responders might not feel heroic is a lot of the times what's at the top of mind is the calls of the people that you couldn't save, or those really traumatic calls where things didn't go as planned. hero worship kind of feels mismatched with trauma, and it can be very incongruent in the mind of a first responder.
And I think that is the biggest key factor when it comes to this is we tend to be more cynical, more looking at the negative aspect instead of looking at all the people that we've helped, all the people that we've made an impact on. I literally was on the phone yesterday with a guy. He started out screaming at me and yelling at me. Well, he wasn't upset at me. He was upset at his situation. And after I was done, like letting him vent to me, I go, okay, sir, like, I want to help you. I'm here for you. Now let's do this together. By the end of the conversation, he was talking to me as a person to person, and he was like, I really trust that we're going to get this done. And I respect law enforcement. I respect you. And I truly appreciate you giving me the time to talk. And I apologize for talking to you the way you did.
Something else that I see is a lot of the times you might not feel heroic because of comparison. We have a tendency to do that. And you might be comparing yourself to a similar situation when somebody calls you a hero or you did a heroic thing to that of your partner and the way that they handled a particular situation.
I think when you're always trying to compare yourself, it kind of goes into that keeping up with the Joneses mindset is if you're always trying to be somebody else, you're never going to truly be able to be capable and be the person you want to be and you desire to be.
I think that in our mindsets, we need to redefine what heroic actually means. And it's definitely not perfection. It's actually showing up when others run away. And if you took that oath to serve, then you literally took the oath to be heroic.
Yeah, it's you put on that badge, you put on that vest, you do this every day, or you put on your fire equipment. You're in the military and you're putting yourselves in the front line. Like, there are so many heroes in this world that we close our minds to, well, I'm not a hero, but ultimately there's a hero every day. And I don't care if you're putting on the uniform or not. I think we're all heroes. We just don't identify ourselves as that.
It could be too that growing up, our idea of a hero in a cape is what you're comparing yourself to when somebody calls you a hero. And it's also important for us to acknowledge that you are human and to acknowledge that humanity out loud.
Yeah, and I think it's really neat because, and I'm thinking about it as you don't know who you're going to impact on a day-to-day basis. And when you're stepping up and you're being there for your fellow man, for your fellow woman, whatever it is, I think you are a hero and you're showing up to be present with them to help them in their time of need.
And I think it's important to realize that your value isn't measured by only saves, it's measured by your service. And we've talked about this tendency that a lot of first responders have, officers in particular, to want to be in that life-saving, traumatic, shots fired kind of call. And if that hasn't been you, or if it has and things haven't gone as planned, that doesn't mean that you're any less than. And in that situation, something happened and you played a role that made you heroic in that moment.
And something that I think it's that mindset game. And, one of my officers and I were talking about this recently, and it's, everyone, the first question that you're always asked, have you shot anybody? Have you been an officer involved in shooting? I think it needs to be more of a badge of honor to not have been in one compared to being in one.
A lot of times other people are going to recognize your heroism long before you can. And if you identify that in somebody else, I think too, normalizing the conversation of not necessarily you need to call somebody, you're my hero, but maybe saying dude, that was so heroic. That hits way differently.
I think that is a better way to format it because that's super impactful and you're not using the terminology of hero and you're using it as a specific instance of that heroic terminology. I like that.
You might not feel like a hero, and that's normal, but it doesn't erase the fact that you step into danger. You're the one who absorbs the trauma, and you decide to make the choice of protecting strangers on their worst days, and that is important. I hope you've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below, and as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.